Yes, tournament and a tea break is back. This time we're in Madrid, relatively sunny, and I'm joined by George Bellshaw.
Hello, long time no here.
Speak. Squeak.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a busy day today. This is actually day 2 of the Mutua Madrid Open, but really it felt like the first day.
Yeah, there was a sort of half-baked schedule yesterday of some seeds in action, but today was the first one that it was just like
Wall-to-wall
really full on.
matches. Yeah.
And combined from the press side of things, we had a few kind of men's preview with all the seeds who've got buys, so there was kind of a lot of toing and froing and not really much watching tennis, or as much as I'd like to just sit around and watch. So it's been pretty busy, but we've had a general overview of what's going on and things we can recap today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a cliche when people say that there's no easy first round matches, but certainly as far as the women's draw is concerned, it's been pretty hectic, and we've had wall-to-wall seeds, and most of them actually going through quite well today, as opposed to yesterday where we lost Ostapenko and Venus.
Yes.
I believe.
So I was there last night watching those two guys really struggle, and it was just a complete contrast today. Wozniacki, who was the only person I sat and watched in full lovingly today out on court. So
lovingly?
Well, I really enjoyed it because you have to take the rare breaks where they come in this job. So she did very well, I thought, against Gavrilova, who's got a lot of big hitting power, but Wozniacki dealt with that pretty well, frustrated her and won at a canter. She was followed by Halep, who won even better, really impressively. Great record here.
Halep was amazing today. I mean, just a typical Halepism was, she dropped a single game, dear listeners, which she sapped her thigh and looked thoroughly annoyed with life in general. It was like, honey, it's one game.
Yeah, and Makarova didn't hold serve all match, which was pretty impressive from Halep's perspective. And then we had Kvitova. She was arguably the most impressive of the day, considering a quick turnaround from Prague. Yeah,
I mean, this is all to come tomorrow, because there was a lot of information coming out of Kvitova. A handful of us went to talk to her, but obviously it was a huge emotional win for her in Prague, because it was the first on home soil since everything that happened. And even when she was talking with us, I think she was tearing up a little bit. There was a little bit of wiping of tears, even though she was trying to sort of laugh through it. So we've decided that the best thing to do now, as far as Kvitova is concerned, is basically hustle her from one final to another in a private jet, no less. So she doesn't have enough time to think about what's going on, and then just comes out and plays a blinder.
I was going to say that one thing I got from that Kvitova interview is that she had an easier time of it than poor Budarescu. When Kvitova said she had a private jet, we'd heard earlier from some Romanian media saying that Budarescu had to wait for hours for a bag, having rushed to one flight, didn't sleep at all. Kvitova, on the other hand, private jet, slept really well. One wins 6-1, 6-1, the other one loses 6-4, 6-1. Go figure. I mean, it's certainly a lot easier when you're at the top end, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is. But
that brings us on to Sharapova, I guess. So that was a good performance.
I think it was. I think it's a performance that she needed to get under her belt. I mean, she looked. There was a funny moment because the thing about this room, and I don't know whether you can hear the aircon, but it's like a mortuary. It's freezing in here normally. And Sharapova came in and was sweating gobs. And at one stage she was like, "This is what happens when you win a match." But I think the relief was palpable in Sharapova for having broken that 4-match losing streak. And she still had to dig in a little bit. It wasn't plain sailing by any stretch of the imagination for her. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, particularly in that first set, she struggled a little bit. But I thought I was quite impressed with her in conference afterwards. She seemed quite commanding of the room. She looked quite focused again. She was talking about how she's unhappy to be going out in first rounds, how she's sick of playing once every 10 days rather than 5 times in 5 days, etc. And there just seemed to be a bit more about her, a bit more like she's got over everything that's gone on, all the injuries, and obviously the ban in itself. There seems a little less drama about her, a little more focus about what can come ahead, and I think it's an interesting time.
Yeah, I mean, I saw her obviously when she lost to Garcia in Stuttgart, but it just didn't seem then. It was like kind of okay, so I lost, and there's a lot to be said for the way that Garcia's grown, and she was impressive here in her first round match as well. But, it still didn't feel like her head was quite in the game. She's obviously had that upheaval with losing her coach as well. So there's been a lot for her to get used to. So, yeah, I think she'd be a good outside watch this week. I definitely think, and she's already playing again, and she's got she's got a quick turnaround. So let's see if the body holds up.
Yeah. I guess we should probably talk about Conta, seeing as this is for Britwatch.
Yeah, well, that would be nice. George and I have just come up from having a quick natter tour where we met the coach, we met the boyfriend, we did all but sort of go out for dinner, really. Obviously, there is for me, it's a huge contrast in meeting her in Indian Wells, where she lost, but, very graciously agreed to meet. And it's got to be said, a win does massive confidence. But not just that, I think the 2 wins that she had in Fed Cup has really helped set her up for this. And the time that she's had to make that adjustment. Her movement in Charleston, and she admitted that she didn't have enough time to prepare for Charleston. Her movement made her look like a cat on a hot tin roof, whereas here she looked a lot more solid, I thought.
Yeah, and this wasn't an easy match. There were lots of kind of sticky moments, and it was a long match, and it wasn't a great watch. I don't think anyone would kind of say this was the match of the tournament, even though it lasted for 2 hours. But, it was an important one to come through. She said herself she's won a lot of clay matches at the lower levels. She's struggled at WTA level, and this felt like a match she'd lose last year.
Oh, yeah.
Even weeks ago, I feel like she'd have lost today. Because she, as we were saying while we were watching, there were moments, even when she gets in front, she just suddenly seems to doubt herself and just have a wobble, etc. And she kind of recovered from her mini wobble today, stormed back through the end of that second set, meant we get to go home at a reasonable hour, which is always a positive. So I think there's a lot to take forward. And, she says there's no easy draw, but Bernarda Pera's an easier draw, shall we say, for what she could have had here as an unseeded player. I think that's a good draw. Second round.
let's put this into perspective. Rybarikova was seeded 16th, so she's tumbled down the rankings significantly enough that she's now no longer seeded. And I can't help wondering whether that's taken a little bit of pressure off her as well. That now she's not seeded, she's not expected to win, and I think she's actually beginning to play a little bit more free. Like you say, if she'd had this kind of match at the beginning of the year, or maybe towards the end of last year, she would have lost from a setup I would have bet any money. So I think it's going to be good. I mean, Pera's going to be, I think it's going to be a tough match. I could see that one going to 3. I think she was stunned by Pera in Australia, and I think she did well to beat her in Doha.
Yeah.
But in fairness to Jo, Pera did seem to implode in the second set. So, I think this one's going to be quite tough. And I think she's ready for it to be quite tough as well. Plus, she's actually playing some doubles here too. So the more time I think she gets the dirt under her feet, the better it will be for her. And she's got no points, practically, like 1 win in Rome. And she's got a hell of a lot of points to defend on the grass, which does concern me.
Yeah, I can only see it going downhill quite quickly if she doesn't have a good run here.
And it starts
in Roland Garros, really.
I think it starts in Nottingham for me, because obviously she made the final in Nottingham. I think she got maybe a couple of rounds under her belt in Birmingham. She lost to Coco quite early on. And then of course the semi-final. So the more points she can get under her belt now, the better the cushion, for sure.
One man who's also not defending any points here is Denis Shapovalov.
Very good, well done, well
good
said.
segue. He obviously hasn't played a full year on the tour before. This is his first clay court tour. Today was his first ATP clay court win. So well done to him. I got a nice chance to catch up with him afterwards, which was really, I think he's a great guy. I think we can all agree he's been a breath of fresh air on the tour. Got a lot about him. Say some really interesting stuff about how he had been watching Nadal quite a lot as a lefty on clay and trying to improve there. Beat Tennis Sandgren today. And he was saying he thinks he needs to raise it. This year's a learning curve. It doesn't matter about results. It's all about grinding matches. Future ambition is to be able to win the French Open, despite this not being his best surface. I like that. I think he's someone I really think will win slams, but he seems to have the right sort of attitude to tackle his tougher surfaces and go forward.
And seeing as we've had that whole kind of lost generation, now the next generation, it will be good to see somebody actually make good on that. yeah.
So we're happy for him.
We're happy for him.
Well done, Dennis. So last of all, penultimately. So first of all, we're going to look at tomorrow's matches very quickly, and then we're going to predict our winners. So tomorrow, first of all, Djokovic Nishikori.
What a matchup! That's just incredible. I think it'll be really interesting. I think Djokovic is beginning to work his way back in. I think Monte Carlo was just a little too soon for him.
Yeah, I thought he played quite well in Monte Carlo. It was Barcelona where it just suddenly went tits up. Can I say tits up on this?
Children, cover your ears.
Where he just suddenly... I mean, Klizan, to be fair, did get 5 games off Rafa on clay, so world number 140 or whatever he was a bit false. But, you'd still expect Djokovic to win that one, and he just looked tight in the third set. But Nishikori's not fit either, I don't think. He just pulled out of Barcelona.
Yeah, because he's been struggling, I think, with a wrist injury since the beginning of the clay. God, honestly...
Since the begining of time, I would say.
So if we go back to when dinosaurs held rackets in their teeny tiny paws, I think it'll be an interesting first round. I suspect that Djokovic will come through, and I think that will give him a lot of confidence if he comes through, because Nishikori's no slouch on clay with one wrist or two.
And he did reach the final of Monte Carlo, but I think injury will. Yeah. I think Djokovic.
I think so.
I hope for him as well. I'd like to see him have a bit of a run. And he's not in Nadal's side. He's not in team side. He's not in Del Potro's side. And yet he's in arguably the hardest court
today. He's basically playing the WTA, isn't he? Yeah. It's basically what you're telling me. He's in the women's court. is what I deduce from that.
Other big match, second round match, but huge. Azarenka Pliskova.
I mean, how good is it to have Azarenka back on the tour? She was brilliant in press today, absolutely fantastic. Just the whole relief that she's been able to actually get physically on a plane. I mean, you got the feeling that she could have been sat on the tarmac for an hour with a delay, and she would have been okay with that. It's great to have her back. It was a bit of a sketchy start for her, but she hasn't played, as you pointed out to me. I haven't played in 2 years. It's like, it's still a slow start though. So I still stand by my question. Yeah. But I think that's amazing. And with Pliskova having come back from winning a Porsche that she can't actually drive, which I still think that she should take me up on my offer of taking it off her hands and looking at after. But she didn't seem to be. Yeah, I thought so, but she didn't seem to be that interested. I think that's going to be tough. I mean, Pliskova withdrew from the prospect of playing the other Pliskova in the first round in Prague, and not surprisingly, because she'd done really well in Fed Cup, then in Stuttgart. That's a difficult one to call. I give Pliskova the edge, but Azarenka's just so pleased. But she's so happy to be here,
and it is an adjustment from Stuttgart to here. Of course,
for sure.
Her winning in Stuttgart doesn't necessarily mean much in Madrid. So it's one to watch. I'm sitting on the fence on that. I think it'll be quite close.
Yes,
very brief note, we've also got Del Potro and team playing doubles together, which I thought was just worth flagging up.
Yeah,
first time.
Because
why? But there we go. That'll be fun. Sharapova, as we briefly mentioned, Begu. Yeah. She beat Ostapenko. Do you see her troubling Sharapova? Got form here before, of course, Begu. But
possibly. I think Sharapova could drag that out to 3 sets and then just win by sheer force of will.
Okay, you heard it here first.
I think so.
And the other one I was just flagging up, Wozniacki Barty. I think that's
quite an interesting one, actually. Barty can throw up some mean, slicey, dicey stuff. And again, we had an interesting chat with Wozniacki that she was sort of saying that she almost has too many options on the clay. She's spoilt for choice of what to do, and sometimes that kind of can jam you up as well. So, coming up against somebody like Barty, who can move all around the place, doesn't seem to have an issue on the clay and can throw in any amount of variety. And that should be entertaining.
Who's winning it?
What, that one?
That one, and then the tournament.
I'd say Wozniacki to win that one. The tournament.
I wouldn't say Wozniacki to win the tournament, but
no, I wouldn't say Wozniacki to win the tournament. I don't know, Halep maybe comes in.
She's the favourite, isn't she?
Yeah, but I don't think she's ever three-peated before either. So I think this is going to be a big.
No one's done that here, of course.
So it's a tricky one. I'd love to go out on a whim and say Kvitova, but I don't think so. But she has won here before.
Yeah. I actually went Svitolina myself in my pre-tournament predictions.
Yeah, I could see that, but
I don't know why, but I just fancied
She
it.
could
Even
do.
though she's never been beyond the second round here, but I quite like the look of her draw, and
yeah,
just got a sneaking suspicion Halep will come unstuck somewhere. But if
Yeah,
not,
she-
that's who I think would win it.
okay.
And then the men's, it's tough to say, isn't it?
Oh, well, there's this like Nadal chap that's apparently quite handy. I've got to be honest, actually, I find I understand that he's the king of clay. I'm just finding it incredibly tedious to see past Nadal on anything to do with crushed
Yeah.
bricks. And I don't know. I can't see anybody in the form that he's in at the moment coming close to beating him.
Toughish potential draw. Team quarterfinal, Del Potro
No, 'cause
semi-final,
he-
Djokovic final. That would, on paper, be a
On-
pretty
on
tough
paper-
draw.
On paper,
Will all three get there? I mean,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
a big question.
Exactly. You know, if everybody was fit and healthy, and this was a couple of years ago, then absolutely, I'd say that Djokovic was in the mix. Maybe Team, if he could get himself together. But right now, I can't see anything other than Nadal taking this, taking Rome, taking Roland Garros. In fact, we could actually just take 3 or 4 weeks off and just come back for the grass.
Will he lose a set at all in that period?
No. Oh, well, no, you know what? He might lose a set at Roland Garros in the semi-final or the final. That's what I'll give him.
It's a big
Will he
call.
lose a set here? No. No. I can't see anybody beating him here.
There we go.
All right, I think we'll leave it there. But yes, you're going to be listening to me and George for the rest of this week, you lucky people. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks a lot.